My name is Arthur Reynolds, and I am 78 years old. I live in a nursing home now. My days are quiet, and my nights feel long. I spend much of my time alone, thinking about the years behind me. This is not a story about something dramatic or extraordinary. It is a story about time, family, and the lessons we slowly learn, often when it is almost too late. I am an old man now. My hair has turned white, and my hands are weak. When I look at them, I can see time written across my skin. Every morning, I sit by the window. I do not rush. I simply sit and watch the trees outside. The wind moves the leaves gently, and the sound is soft. Sometimes it feels as if the world is speaking, but very quietly. When I sit there, my memories return. They do not come all at once. They arrive slowly, one by one, like careful footsteps. Some make me smile. Others make my chest feel heavy. I let them stay. They are part of who I am. I often think about my wife. Her name was Margaret Reynolds. She was calm, kind, and steady. Her smile made our home feel safe. When she looked at me, I believed everything would be all right. We had 3 children together, 2 sons and a daughter. When they were young, our house was full of sound. There was laughter, noise, and small arguments that did not last long. I worked hard and left home early every morning. I returned tired in the evening. I wanted my children to have a better life than I had known. Margaret stayed at home and held everything together. She cooked, cleaned, and helped the children with their schoolwork. She remembered small things that I often forgot. At that time, I believed our life would always stay the same. But life always changes. Slowly, the children grew up. Then suddenly, they were spending more time outside, going to school, making friends. The house became quieter. I told myself this was natural. Children are meant to grow. Still, late at night, when the house felt too quiet, I sensed something missing. Margaret noticed before I ever spoke. She told me not to worry. She said the children would find their way back one day. I believed her, because she was usually right. Then Margaret became ill. At first, she said it was nothing. She smiled and told me not to worry. But the days passed, and her body grew weaker. She stayed in bed for weeks. I cooked for her, helped her sit up, brought her water and medicine. I sat beside her and spoke about small ordinary things, memories of the children, moments from our past. One night, she held my hand and looked at me for a long time. She told me to take care of the children. She said they still needed me, even if they did not say it. That night, she closed her eyes and never opened them again. After Margaret passed away, the house felt empty in a way I had never known. It was not just quiet, it felt unfinished. For a short time, my children visited more often. Then, slowly, life pulled them away again. One day, they sat with me and spoke carefully. They said it was not good for me to live alone. They said a nursing home would be safer. I wanted to say no. I wanted to stay with my memories. But I saw worry in their faces, so I nodded. I was already tired. That is how I came to live at Silver Meadows Care Home. It is clean and calm. The walls are light, the rooms simple. Other elderly residents sit along the hallway. Some talk to themselves. Some stare at the floor. Others look out the windows, just like I do. The nurses are kind, but always busy. They bring meals, medicine, and gentle smiles. They ask how I am. I usually say I am fine. It is easier than explaining the truth. Every morning, I wake early and sit by the window, watching the sky change colors. For a few minutes, I feel peaceful. But when the day fully begins, the weight returns. I think about my children. I wonder where they are. Sometimes they call. Their voices sound rushed. They ask how I am, then say they must go. After the call ends, I sit quietly and remind myself not to expect too much. One day, a nurse named Clara Wilson gave me a notebook and a pen. She said writing might help. At first, I stared at the empty page. My hand shook. Then I wrote Margaret's name. After that, the words came slowly. I wrote about small moments, things only I remembered. I did not write to explain myself or teach lessons. I wrote so I would not carry regret with me. Life in the nursing home moved slowly. Meals came on time. Days repeated themselves. I spent hours sitting by the window or walking the hallway. Sometimes I sat in the small garden and watched the birds come and go. They never waited for permission to leave. That thought stayed with me. One afternoon, a young boy visited the garden. His name was Elliot Wilson, the nurse's son. He greeted me warmly and called me Grandpa without thinking. He asked if I had stories. I told him about my childhood, the river near my village, and climbing trees with friends. He listened closely, as if every word mattered. For the first time in a long while, I was not waiting for anything. I was simply sharing. Elliot visited often after that. He brought drawings and stories. One picture showed an old man sitting under a tree. I knew it was me. As time passed, I wrote less. Not because I had nothing to say, but because I had said what mattered. I wrote letters to my children, not with hope, but with honesty. The first was to my eldest son, Robert Reynolds. I reminded him of teaching him to ride a bicycle. The second was to my daughter, Laura Reynolds, telling her how proud I was of her. The last was to my youngest son, James Reynolds, remembering our fishing trips. I did not ask them to come. I only wanted them to know I remembered everything. Weeks later, a letter arrived, from Robert. He apologized. He said he wanted to visit. And one bright morning he did. He came with his children. They hugged me carefully and gave me drawings. One showed an old man sitting by a window. Something in my chest tightened, then softened. Robert visited again. Sometimes alone. Sometimes with his children. Laura never came. James never called. At first, this hurt deeply. Then slowly, I accepted it. Love does not always return in full. Sometimes it returns in parts. I stopped waiting for everyone. I focused on who was here. Now when I sit by the window, I do not ask who is missing. I look at what remains. I breathe slowly. I feel the day as it is. And that is enough. This story teaches something quiet but important. Time does not take love away. It reveals who chooses to come back in time. Not everyone will return. We cannot force them to. But if even one person comes back with an open heart, that love is still real, and it is still enough.